seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Love Talk Radio.
Oh my goodness. Here it is. It's Blog Talk Radio and it's Monday. And this is Dr. Deb Carlin here again with Mr. Brian Lunt. Good morning, Mr. Brian. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Good morning.
You are wonderful. Thank you. So good to see you here this morning on Blog Talk Radio, where we kind of duplicate it up a little bit, double it up a little bit, and we are the K factor, where K equals kindness, and the factors are all the things that lead to it. And I'll tell you what is the influencers in talking about the St. Louis Business Club today. We have got a bucket, a basket, a stockpile of kindness for you, because here's the conversation. Are you really an entrepreneur? Are you really a small business owner? Okay, so let's say the answer to that is yes, because Brian and I say both for both of us that it is a yes. So what do you do to reach your success? What's your ultimate strategy? Today's conversation is about the ultimate strategy. How do you get from a thought into ta-da? We know that flying solo really doesn't work. So what do you do to build your team, to build your structure, to have a community that is there to support you and guide you and help you? Is it going to cost you a fortune to build this team? Where do they come from? And what do you know about team building? So Brian, when I think about you, you have an awful lot to feel and express about this and then to say about it based on what you thought. And then, you and I roll it all together. And I think we've got the ultimate strategy and plan for people. And I think that it happens at the St. Louis Business Club.
You're right. It
Yes.
does.
With your vision.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
So people don't really, they've got this huge weight lifted off their shoulders, because for not a fortune, but for a sensible investment, they can come to you, they can contact you at Brian Lunt, Google you, and they can find you all over the place. They can Google the St. Louis Business Club and find you right there and call you, get you on the phone and say whatever they need. And you're going to have a conversation with them and you're going to describe to them what are you going to describe to them?
What I'll say I've done over the last number of years is I've thrown myself into the St. Louis marketplace in order to learn and listen and understand as best I can what resources are available.
Okay.
And so I have been the guinea pig of finding out what it is that people need, and I help others navigate that and accelerate that process. And so they need all the resources that surround them so they can do what they do best. Delegate, do what you do best and delegate the rest. That's really the overarching theme of what it is that I provide, is how can we jump into a Zoom room or a phone call or a conversation very quickly to identify what it is that somebody does well, what they can make a lot of money doing in their business world, and then what resources we can surround them with in order to make them better at what they do.
So when people come into the St. Louis Business Club, do they all have access to the basics that you need in a business, like a lawyer, an accountant, a bookkeeper, a massage therapist?
They do, yeah. I mean, I often talk about the 6 areas of life, 6 areas of business. The business side really covers all those components, the foundational components of legal, accounting, HR, business systems and documentation, all the way into the marketing realm of branding, lead generation, and sales. And so I've gone out and I found resources in each one of those areas. Yeah. And we utilize our community, we utilize our network in order to connect people to the right resource at the right time, whether it's the person or the skill you need at that time, or the right budget, the right the right fit is really what it comes down to. And on the life side, we're a business club, so we emphasize business, but your business does not operate at maximum efficiency unless your life is in line and balanced. And so we often talk about wellness in all these areas. I know this is one of your sweet spots in terms of wellness, holistic wellness with a W.
Authentic Oh,
authentic.
well,
uh,
just go, aw.
and identifying the fact that we need mental, emotional, spiritual health. We need wealth in those arenas. We need to be physically fit. We need to look at our relationships and the environments and cultures that we spend our time in, and how that all impacts our personal financial situation, and all of those different components and how they overlap. And so I have become a student in all of those areas. I will be a lifelong student in all those areas.
Yeah.
And in many ways, I'm a coordinator or a quarterback of those areas. And so I do my best to make sure that people get connected correctly, and we can accelerate their questions being answered.
So really, be not afraid, I think, is one of the phrases that people should use when they're thinking about walking into just getting started as a startup, or even if they're on the road and they've been on the road for a long time. Sometimes people really feel funny. It's like, I've been in business for a long time, but I'm not quite making it. And you could really listen to them and hear what it is that they need because of your studentship and your now tutelage of others.
Yeah, I think one of the best things we can do is come together as a community, come together as humans, and talk about the different trials and tribulations that we go through. Even the most successful, and in many cases, the most successful entrepreneurs have had their episodes of turmoil. And if you've been in business for any number of years, you can point to the tough times. And when you're riding high, it feels good to help people when they're riding low. There's a good balance there. And so offering that community element of people that can support you when you're going through tough times, and then others that you can support when you've got a little bit of breathing room. That's the whole essence of what we pull together. And so relying on a community of resources, as opposed to thinking, I've got to do all of this stuff on my own, it just showcases that you're not alone in the fight. And I find it to be a lot more fun to be able to rely on others and offload some of the stress to others, talk it through. 9 times out of 10, what I have seen is that people get really wrapped up in their heads and they think things are really, really bad. And when you talk it out and you get somebody that can sympathize or empathize with the situation you're in, you go, oh, well, I didn't see it that way. Or, oh, this is how you navigated that. Hey, that works for me. Hey, thanks. So it's just an easier way to go through it.
And you don't just sympathize and empathize. You also say, I got a business system for you, because that's one of the things that you're really hooked on.
It is. I've, again, being a student, I had the benefit of working in community banking for, 13 years. And so I got to look at the behind the scenes metrics and financials of a variety of different businesses. So I saw them at the core of how they function. And then going to banking school and getting my MBA and getting educated in all the other different systems that exist, I've had the benefit of seeing a lot of different ways that things can be done. I often talk about self-education being the mastery of education. If you are interested in learning, the public library is the greatest tool in the toolkit, because you can learn anything you want to learn. And so I have just an insatiable appetite in terms of learning about how business systems and life systems work. And I want to try and find the most efficient use of one of those systems for folks that come into my community. And so we either suggest things, we strategize things, we put them in something that can be actionable very quick, or we give them a resource that has that system already well defined, and you can collaborate or hire somebody that can provide that service for folks. And so that's really where the combination of people coming together can accelerate the growth of both sides. And it's doing it strategically and really in a business sense, knowing that the revenue is going to ultimately pay for everything that is being done, that makes it all work.
What do you mean ultimately?
Well, there's different stages of business operations. There's lots of folks that need the initial investment to get going, and I think that's important depending on what kind of business it is. But if it's not looked out long term and says, how are people getting paid? What is the return on the investment that we're putting in there? Then it's not a business. It's a charity.
So are you saying that you invest in businesses?
I do.
How does that work?
So I tell this to everybody. I have different buckets. I have buckets that come from dollars I want to invest, things that I want to get paid for, things that I might want to invest my time into and receive. So it depends on what somebody is looking for. If they're looking for expertise, I might put my my hat in the ring for a consulting gig. I might be able to allow myself to get paid either for my time or in some kind of revenue share or equity share. And then there are opportunities that I see where investing capital dollars makes sense because there's going to be a good return or an upside at some point in those capital dollars. And so it's all dependent on what folks are looking for and what the potential of that project can be.
And do you have any particular areas that you look at, any particular industry, any particular anything where you really thinking, yeah, I really like this. I would invest in this in a heartbeat.
My sweet spot, what I love to look at are very boring businesses. I think there's a major shift coming in our economy where the baby boomers are looking to retire or they're looking to exit in some way. There are some businesses that'll be shut down just because the primary driver of that business is going to retire or exit. And it might be a good business with a number of customers already in place, number of operations or systems that have already been developed. That I think is a very efficient use of time or dollars to acquire things like that and then keep the boring business going along and utilizing the revenue of that business to move forward. Where I have a lot of pause is when it's something that I just don't understand. More recently, I've been looking into cryptocurrencies, software companies, more complex operations. When it comes to things like that, that's where we have to rely on the community and groups of investors and other mentors to get good advice because it is not my skill set. I'm a simple man. I like community-based, community banking types of structures. You know, find me a dry cleaners and I can handle the operations on that. But big time software and larger businesses are outside of my comfort zone.
So what do you mean when you say the boring businesses? I immediately, this is horrible. I immediately thought an accounting firm, a bookkeeping firm, a lawyer's office.
Yeah, those are great businesses. If there's a business, any business for me that I can understand the back end fundamentals of that business, I know the people that are involved, I know the revenue structure, I know how they operate on a day-to-day basis. Just from a general business understanding, I can walk in and say, yes, I know how you guys make money. I know this can continue making money. And if I invested X number of dollars, this is the return that I can look at over a certain number of years or a period of time. So that to me is a very easy formula. And then you can look at improving operations by adding community members and resources and other people that can do things more efficiently. It's to me the same way that the very, very large investment bankers look at these conglomerates, that they understand the different components that make sense if they spread them apart or if they complement them in different ways at a very granular small business level. That's what I like to do because it's what I understand. I think the skill sets are similar, but I would be scared of the big conglomerate types of things at this stage in my career.
So let me ask you something. I just had a vision about something that's different than the vision that I've had previously about the St. Louis Business Club. And that is that I keep thinking about people who are getting started or people who are in the middle and they want to go. But actually, the St. Louis Business Club would be a fabulous place for people who are towards the end of their careers and thinking, I would like to transition out of this, because a number of things could happen. They might find buyers in there.
Yep.
They might find people who want to join it. Like let's say it's an accounting bookkeeping firm. And if they call you and I can just envision this. So tell me if I'm correct or if I'm off the mark here, but they could call you and say, I'd really kind of like to get out of this. and we're making X number of dollars a year. And I don't know exactly, I don't really want to sell it, but I kind of want to just walk away from it. But I'd like for other people to take it on. My kids are really not so interested. So I'm not sure how to find the people who would step into my shoes.
Mhm.
You might be that person who could help them do that. And it might turn into a kind of a partnership where you and that person have a consultancy
Mhm.
bringing people in, and you're getting a part of the revenues as the consultant
Mhm.
to have that happen. I haven't heard anybody else doing that work.
The closest thing I've seen is there's some business brokerages that do
Yeah, but my
similar
God,
types of things, but they're more so in the brokerage side of things than in the business
really,
side, in my
they're
opinion.
really cut and dry,
Yeah,
not
and it's
involved.
yeah, and so I see a lot of opportunity because I think there's going to be a lot of demand for the transitionary period, and with the right kind of guidance and resources, there's going to be plenty of people, calling. What I often see, or I have seen recently, I just came back from a trip to Arizona where we went to a planned community that had 9,000 homes into it. And you've got folks that are in anywhere from like their 50s to their 70s that are enjoying this community that has golf and they've got all these amenities and they've got all this wonderful thing, but they're there almost part-time as they're kind of unwinding their business lives and kind of making their way into retirement. The amount of intellectual capital that is in a community like that is off the charts. And what's really interesting to me is looking at the older generation and this transitionary period of not only their business, but their business knowledge. And if there's a hybrid opportunity of saying, we've got a business club in the middle of this community, and they come together collaboratively with their information and their guidance, and they can help steward those businesses on to the next generation. It's that component that I think we need in order to make sure there's a seamless transition and people are coming together and helping one another from a true community sense. The other thing that I've often loved to hear is a friend of mine in the financial planning arena used to work with a lot of potential retirees. They were all on the cusp of selling their businesses or are going into retirement. And it's kind of this ripping the band-aid process where you go from working 9 to 5 to now all of a sudden I'm retired, and maybe for a year or two you keep busy with projects that you've been mounting and thinking about, but after that it's kind of an average of about a 2-year period. They go, well, now what am I going to do? And what my friend used to do is he'd go to these retirees and he'd say, if you could get rid of all the stuff you dislike doing and maintain the things that you really enjoy, would you still retire? And the vast majority of them have said, no, I really like my job. I like my career. I would love to get rid of the tedious stuff. And so he has them write down what it is that they dislike doing. And that's the first person they should hire as they go through this transitionary period. So if as a community, as a business club, we can challenge people to start notating all the things they dislike doing, and we can offload those things to our community, you've got happier people, you've got more productive people, you've got this opportunity of spreading it around so
Yeah.
that you do what you do best and you delegate the rest.
I really like this because you would have, I remember when I was in graduate school, we had a thing called vertical teams.
Mm.
And I wondered, like, I didn't think we were going to be laying down in here. What's a vertical team? And it was a 7-year program. And so we had students at all different levels of that 7-year stretch. And this was before Zoom or
Mhm.
any of that. I don't think even Skype was around. And so we would find ways to have communication once a week. The whole department was in a vertical team in small groups. So we were all with our major professor in a vertical team, and it was great because we had people just coming in who wanted to know what's it like in year 3, and oh my gosh, you actually got to year 7. What's that like? And
Yep.
it's spectacular because it gives you a beautiful sense of things. And one of the things that I think would be so refreshing for people who think about retirement is they are often feeling, and I didn't have this awareness until a retirement community in Arizona became a client of mine, 55 plus.
Yep.
And I mean, there were people out there, and I would say to them, you know what, you really, you need to have a sense of purpose, because you're driving the management company out here crazy.
Yep.
You guys all retired and you moved across the country from one direction or another to be here. You're mad at your kids because they don't come visit. You miss your grandchildren. You have nothing to do but golf, swim, play cards, and eat nuts, and you have drinks with your beloveds. And then you all freak out when the ambulances arrive.
Yeah.
So they were looking, I mean, water floats, right? It runs to wherever it needs to fill in. So these people were like literally telling management what to do, telling the community leaders in the town what to do, telling the fire department and the police chief what to do. So if they had a place to live, like the St. Louis Business Club, and St. Louis the St. Louis Business Club is a show me state model.
Yep.
It could be anywhere. And when people say, why are we the St. Louis Business Club in Arizona? Because we're show me, so we're showing you and you're showing us. So then they have a sense of purpose all over again. And what a phenomenal lesson for people anywhere in that vertical structure, that vertical team, so to speak, to see, oh my God, this could be me, or yay, this could be me in decades from now. We
Yeah.
don't have that because, everybody's living in their own generation. We don't have families living together, multiple generations, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would be absolutely fabulous.
It comes down to, for me, is that you've got this business and life overlap, right?
Mhm.
And what happens when you retire is that you take away the business side,
Yeah.
and all of you have is life, but that means you're out of balance. Yes, you have all the financial freedom potentially to dedicate to the life side, but you've taken away this responsibility and the prestige and all the things that come along with building a business and maintaining a career. And when that gets taken away, that's why you have people going into politics, getting onto their subdivision committees, going into the plant committee, all these different things that start to come on almost the life side, but they're structured like a business because there's voluntary positions, there's all these different things. And that's what I see happening. I know a lot of people who like to play golf, but I don't know how you can play golf every day and 18 holes a day. Maybe it's good exercise and maybe you can turn into a business. Maybe you're out there gambling and, doing some fun things, but
I don't think so.
there are some business structures and I think business opportunities that a lot of, that 50 to 70 range could get into and have a lot of fun and make some more money. I mean, there's nothing wrong. There's almost this, impression that older folks that are retired should be mentors and not make any money. They should just be there to, and I've seen a lot of the kind of accelerator models and the startup models that help these, earlier stage companies rely on mentors that have no compensation structure. And so you've got people that are treating it more like a voluntary position and just kind of, half into it, as opposed to going into it as a professional and as a consultant.
I like that. So at your business club, actually, your model would be or could be you have these seniors who come in and they are introduced, but they're another line of service that other members need to purchase. So like,
Yeah.
for instance, when your members come in, it's not that they get anything for free. It's just that they've got a vetted resource that's there for them to engage.
Exactly. I mean, my goal as the head quarterback is to try and make sure that we've got good players, and that's the reason I called it a club, is because I wanted there to be some exclusivity. There has to be some filtering process.
Absolutely.
There has to be a way to put a group of people together that not everybody can come and be a part of. There are some amazing organizations that exist in the marketplace that are great for networking. You know, the chambers of commerce are fantastic for getting your local business groups together, and it's a very welcoming and open place that most people can join. If everybody can join the business club, then there's no barometer that we're gauging against people,
Right,
and
right.
there's no brand that says, okay, if anybody can join, then it might not be the caliber of people that I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
why call it a club?
Right, right,
Now,
and
membership means that you have a sense of belonging and
mhm,
that there's a different intimacy there. It's a limited group. Like you don't want to have 1,000 people in there. You want to have a reasonable number of people at each location.
yes,
Yeah, I like that model. Yeah, we've gotten into this weird sort of defended position where we have to say, well, it's exclusive, but yeah, because there's boundaries. There's criteria to be a member. You have to be smart. You have to be engaged in your business. You got to have a business. You got to have some talent. And you make those decisions as the creator, the founder of it.
yeah. And it is a challenge, because I often say that you have organizations at the more startup and lower tier level that have a lower barrier to entry because it's cheaper to get in, there's more access to get in, and then you have the higher tier kind of peer-to-peer advisory, CEO level, leadership level type of organizations, and a lot of times there are revenue metrics, there are it costs a lot to be a part of it. I've often said I would love to exist in the middle, and unfortunately is the most challenging market to satisfy, because most of the people in the middle are in growth mode, and so their time as a currency is very, very difficult to spend, because they're spending all of their time wearing multiple hats. And the whole idea is that if we can help you distribute some of those hats and get a little bit
Yes.
more efficient with the utilization of your time, well, then your money will catch up, and the amount of money that you need to spend on these additional resources will kind of push you towards that upper tier level, and things will work better for you. And so it's been a difficulty on how to price it, on how to structure it, because you've got a lot of frenetic energy and chaos going on with that middle tier group. The younger in terms of business is very hungry. They're looking for sales and marketing. That's usually where the BNIs and the chambers are focused. At the later stages, you're much more focused, and you have achieved kind of time mastery, and you can give back a little bit. You can fine tune and work on your business instead of in the business all the time. And so that middle tier where people are working in the business almost nonstop, those are the folks that I really think need it the most. Um, but it has been a difficult recipe attracting kind of the upper and lower tier of that large group. And 60 to 70% of businesses are in that group.
So, two things. They don't know about you.
Mhm.
And two, um, they don't know exactly what the details are about what's it going to cost, what does it involve, what do I get out of it. And
Yep.
it seems to me like if you had and you probably do, you've got pricing structures not just for the membership but for all the a la carte items. Like
Right.
you need the HR stuff, here's what they're charging, and it's based on what their schedule is.
Yep.
And I would imagine that there's a certain percentage that goes to the house, the club.
Yeah, we're in the process of building out an online portal that's St. Louis based for now, that allows for all of that bookkeeping and functionality to flow through. And so the idea is that most people will have an ongoing monthly membership at whatever tier makes the most sense for them, and then any business that is developed through the club or through the portal has a percentage base on it. So the revenue that is generated as a part of being a part of the club is a win-win.
Yeah, that seems really fair to me because if you can't figure it out on your own and you move in someplace and you're getting it figured out and you can see the revenues coming, they're happening, why not share it?
Yep.
Yeah, I love that model. So, in terms of what we do here, our job is not to be an infomercial to sell, but our job is to really help the community understand that if you're out there and you're struggling, like if you're in a shared workspace, that's a very different model than what we're talking about, because you there might by luck run into somebody who's got the skills that you need, the business that you need. But if they come into the St. Louis Business Club, it's very intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here-
One of the things that I'm working on right now is I have a shared workspace that I highlight as a part of our group, our hyper local group, but there are other shared workspaces in the St. Louis region, and I'm friends with the owners or the people who run those spaces. And my goal has always been to be very proactive in community building and how we connect resources. And so one of the things that I've often wanted to do is go into those shared spaces and offer my facilitation of relationships and masterminds as a way to help them get their members at their spaces connected. And so, because I've heard that as something that's lacking in a number of the shared workspaces, because what I've always said is I don't want to be in a culture, I don't want to be in an environment where you feel like you cannot at least say hello or nod to the person that you're walking past, or have a warm and friendly reception with the people that you surround yourself with. If you're walking in a work environment and you feel head down, now nothing warm about the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and you're just there to work, yes, that environment might be conducive to some focuses of work, but to me, I think you get a lot more done by spreading out the community and having a lot of good healthy relationships. And so if we can utilize our folks to come in and add some energy into a space or even a corporation, that's something that we want to highlight, because it is a skill. It is something that a lot of larger institutions could utilize. And we have a number of people in the St. Louis area that provide that type of service.
So I'm not quite sure I follow. So you started out talking about the St. Louis Business Club as not just a workspace, a shared workspace, although people can come in and get space there. But then you were talking about being friends with people who are in the community who have got shared workspaces, but they don't have the line of services that you offer. And so you want to go there and introduce them to your line of services at the St. Louis Business Club and have it be sort of a traveling model?
Yeah, I'm not opposed. In the same way that I can set up a St. Louis Business Club in Arizona, I'd like to have multiple St. Louis business clubs in St. Louis. It's a platform, it's a structure that we can share with other spaces in order to make their spaces and their companies more efficient.
I see. So like I think there's a place called the Hive or something, the
Right.
Hive would actually have St. Business Club embedded into it to bring more value to it.
Exactly.
And so then there'd be a revenue share between you and that owner.
Yeah, we would just be providing more benefit to their clients, to their customers.
They would be invited into the main headquarters St. Louis Business Club on virtual events in particular.
Yeah, and that's another one of these dances that I've been in for the last year because of the COVID environment, is that I am much more geared towards in-person interactions. Obviously, we've all gotten familiar with virtual and online platforms, and it's gotten interesting. We can still have the intimacy that we need, even though we're in different cities. But I still prefer in person. So we've worked with a lot of in-person and virtual hybrids. My goal, though, is to have different areas in St. Louis that I can go into physically and make sure that those relationships and that connectivity is being facilitated, because there are many services that we can provide virtually, but
yeah,
I think the majority, 50%, need to be handled in person. We have a wellness provider group that helps teach people what kind of wellness resources are available in the marketplace and how to become more well. A lot of that can be delivered through telemedicine and through online portals. But when you're going to a chiropractor and need to get adjusted, or you're going to a gym and you need to work out, those are all physically on location. And so this hybrid model of making sure that that the process is facilitated and everybody knows what everybody does, there's a little bit of coordination that needs to go with all that.
Right. So I'm envisioning for members at other locations, even at your location, they know that every Wednesday there's a meeting.
Right.
And then they know that, whatever the schedule is. So you would maybe be at a place, out. I don't know why I keep using the hive, probably because I like bees and I like honey. But the hive would be Monday morning,
Right.
and then location wise, if there's another location that's near there, maybe it would be Monday afternoon, but you wouldn't want to be a full day away from the St. Louis Business Club headquarters. So it'd be like maybe mornings or midday or something that, so everybody knew at these other locations, St. Louis Business Club, dude, it's going to be here.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like a super schedule.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to just be me, although I like to do that role and enjoy facilitating relationships and
Yeah.
people. I would enjoy going around to the different locations and making sure that the different communities are connecting and that facilitation is going on. There's multiple people in the marketplace that do similar things. My goal would be to get those facilitators together and say, how can we coordinate what it is that we're doing and how can we help everybody succeed? It really is that difference between a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset. If you are genuinely out in the marketplace to help as many people as you can, you know that in a lot of situations, you are not the answer for somebody, but you might be able to find the answer for somebody. And so if I can go in and facilitate and help, and that is good for the group and good for the space, I'm happy to do that. But in times that you don't have the time to do it, or you want to do, whatever factor keeps you away from being the one to do it, we want to make sure that we have those resources available so that as a part of a larger network, as a part of a city, that's why it's the St. Louis Business Club, that as a city, we're all working together to make each other work better.
So one of the things that occurs to me, and you kind of answered it, but I'm going to ask a question anyway. How do you defeat the competitiveness that people experience? Like, well, if I let you in here, there goes my revenues. What if they leave me to come to you full time? Well, part of the deal is that we won't let them do that.
Right.
What we say is, look, we have an agreement. So you stay there and you get the membership for this additional amount of money. And we're not into this for competition. We're into it for collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not trying to break up any communities. Is that a tough sell?
It depends. I think that's part of the filtering process, that some people have a scarcity mindset and some people have an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
And it is a constant challenge, because when you are a startup or when you are not in an abundance business where things are going well, that scarcity mindset kicks in to where you're zero sum. If this person is getting more than me, then that means I'm not getting as much, as opposed to coming at it and saying, let's go build something together where we both get more than zero, instead of saying, okay, there's $100 and I get 60 and you get 40. It's like, well, we both got more than we had before.
Yeah.
So why are we fighting over a pie? Let's create more pie. There is a sense that I have, and I think, it's not unique to me, but I think it's a very good skill to adopt, is I let people reveal themselves. I will have relationships that materialize and are ongoing, and you can tell very quickly whether that person is working with you or against you. And if you are working together towards building something and revenues are created for both of you, that's a pretty good indicator that things are going well. If the other person is always steering clients back to themselves and they don't have conversations with you, or you feel a little bit in the dark of what's going on, that's probably not someone who has an abundance mindset. The antidote to a lot of these things is talking about it, getting in groups of people and saying, what is it that you're providing for your client? And is that the best use of your time and their dollars?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're open to learning, if you're open to finding the best solutions for your clients, that's a very positive situation. If you are insecure and scarcity mindset, you are not going to be open to that. You're going to try and fight for every single dollar that you can get.
Wow.
And that's not the energy that I'm wanting to put out into the marketplace. I want folks that feel like they're good at what they do,
Mhm.
that they should get paid for what they do, and that coming together makes them better at what they do.
Yeah, I love that. I do think that, especially now, people are after 2020 and then 2021 being a lot the same, where, the financial realities for a lot of people are depressed. And so they're depressed and they're feeling that scarcity. But I also think that we have an enormous opportunity. How I like to put that silver lining on everything, right?
Of course.
So I think it's also an opportunity to say, look, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Some of us have gotten really abundant and some of us are really stuck, but guess what we have an abundance of? Need.
Yes.
So let's spread the need and share the whole fulfillment of need,
Mhm.
and make deals around how it is that we do this. And even have like a one-page template that says, here's our credo.
Yeah.
Here's the 5 things we bring to you in your club, and here's the price, and here's your price point. A lot of people, their price points are way off.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking about a couple of places where I had enrolled, and then I realized, oh my gosh, this is like really zero money, but zero benefit, or this is really high money, still zero benefit. And then so you move through it. So I think it's a great idea. And I love the vertical structure of it. I think that you're really onto something there, Brian.
Yeah, there's two things that I have been challenged with in that conversation. On the pricing perspective, I have priced low in
Yeah.
order to meet the market and just basic supply and demand economics, to say I will price it low in order for the right people to come in and not have price as a
Area.
a barrier.
Yeah.
What has been interesting is that also communicates to the marketplace that that's what the value is. And so even though we're providing probably zeros on top of what it is that people pay,
Right.
they think, well, it can't be that cheap, or else it's not very good. And so
Right.
that's been a big challenge. And I had another point to make and it completely just jumped out of my head. But it's you've got, and the other point is that you've got this first mover situation where I have pulled lots of people together and I can get them individual projects and gigs and things going on, but to get an entire group to come on a consistent basis in the beginning is difficult at times, because they go, well, this thing doesn't exist as fully and across the country as it could eventually. How do you attract those folks that are in that scarcity time metric that say, I don't have time to dedicate this.
90 seconds.
So it's definitely a challenge, but still lots of fun.
Well, we have filled up the time once again. I love it. So this is Dr. Deb Carlin recommending you to Google Brian Lunt in St. Louis, and also Google the St. Louis Business Club, because there's some really good things going on over there, and you don't need to be alone. You have to know how to build a team or a community.
60
It's
seconds.
ready and waiting for you. So until next time, peace out.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.